Welcome to the Trueness Podcast, where we encourage women to be true to God and true to who He created them to be. This is a space for faith, purpose, and honest growth. I'm Rhonda, and I'm glad you're here. Well, thank you everybody for joining me today, joining us. I have a special guest today, my friend Cami. Cami, thank you for being on the podcast today.
Good to be here.
Well, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. So my name is Cami. I am a wife to a wonderful husband of 19 years. We have two beautiful children together. Our son is 9 years old. Our daughter is 6 years old. We also serve in ministry at our church, and we are blessed to have a couple of businesses.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Share with us a little bit about the ministry that you're involved in, or the few ministries, your primary ministry that you're involved in at church.
Sure. The primary ministry, we have a parenting class. The name is Caring Cradle, and we are fortunate to be able to have some families there that we have some interesting discussions every week with them. So fun times.
Very nice, very nice. So what is the ministry about?
Well, we have some families, like I said, it's a parenting class. So we discuss all things parenting. We have different topics that we talk about with the families there. And then we do different things together, and we provide them with a little gift after every class.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And then what businesses are you involved in?
Well, the first business we have, we invest in real estate, primarily in tax liens and tax deeds. And also we have a marketing company that we do as well. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, I know one of the main reasons that I wanted to have you on the podcast was for you to share your testimony of how you transitioned from the corporate world into homeschooling. And I'll start out with, what was your career like? What did you do before you did that transition?
Well, I worked in corporate America in accounting, and we did a lot of accounts payable work and accounting work, so dealt with numbers a lot most of the time.
Okay.
Solving big number problems.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. What did you like most about working in the corporate world?
I'm really good with math, so I enjoyed working with numbers and solving problems. It's really satisfying when you have this big problem that you're started with, and at the end of the day you're able to get it all worked out and go on to the next one. So that was really satisfying.
Okay. Was there a specific moment when you realized public school wasn't the direction you wanted for your children?
Yes. And this started actually prior to us having children. I knew that I always wanted to teach my kids at home. And as I did research throughout the years prior to having them, it became more and more evident that this was the path I wanted to take. And so just doing research, trying to find out, just in case it didn't work out, what alternatives there were. But I knew all along that I did want to stay at home and be with them and teach them. So.
What emotions did you experience when you were considering leaving a stable career?
Oh man, there's so many, because I had a well-paying job, and so the comfortability in that, and knowing that we would be transitioning from two incomes to one income was a little overwhelming. And so, I mean, nowadays, you can have an anxiety attack going to the grocery store with the prices so expensive. So just thinking about that, going from realistically what that would look like day to day for us.
Okay.
And so, of course, there was a little bit of fear with really making sure that we're ready to do that. And so it took a lot of prayer and talks with one another, and eventually we decided that this was the path we were going to go down.
That's good. How long would you say was the amount of time that it took before you, like, from the time that you thought about transitioning to being at home with your kids and homeschooling to, like, how long was that time frame where you started thinking and putting numbers together and just putting a plan together and a strategy?
Well, like I said, we thought about it prior to having children, but until we actually had our son, it was like, okay, he's here. Eventually he's going to get old enough where he's school age. And so I think when we first had him, we really had some serious talks about it. And then I would say when he was around 2 to 3 years old, we really kind of tried to map out, okay, what does this look like day to day? Will we realistically be able to do this financially? And just kind of putting a plan in place.
Okay, that's good. Did anyone think you were crazy for walking away from a great paying job?
I wouldn't say crazy, but there was a little bit of hesitation because it's like, once I commit, once I actually do this, there's no going back. Well, there is a going back, but it may look a little different. And so, like I said, you just second guess yourself, just making sure that what you're doing is the right decision, not only for us, but for the children as well. And so, like I said, we had several discussions about it, talking to other homeschool parents, doing some research online with other families who've been there, done that, and could speak to the similar situations that we were going through. But also, like I said, just prayerfully considering what that path would look like for us.
Was there a scripture, a biblical principle that helped guide your decision or both of your decision?
Well, one of the things that my husband and I always talk about and testify to is how God is such a provider for us. I mean, there has been so many times throughout our marriage where we look back and we say, God, it was only God that brought us through, because we don't know how the numbers worked out. And it literally was miracle moments. And so one thing that we always spoke to is just how faithful God was and how he provided for us through those times where we could not provide for ourselves. And so, we knew that if he did it before, he'll do it again.
That's good.
And that he's faithful. And so, just asking for wisdom to make good decisions and being really good stewards of what we have. And we knew that, once we made those decisions and left it up for God to do the rest, that he would take care of us. And so he has done just that.
That's so good. God truly is faithful like that. I remember I found myself in a position a couple months ago where I got laid off from my job, but it happened during that time that my husband, that very week, he had mandatory overtime. So that was such a blessing.
Yeah.
It was actually a blessing in disguise. So it's like God really did. God knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does.
He knows what he's doing. So what was the hardest part of making that transition, would you say?
Actually, probably the hardest part was just doing it. Like,
just stepping out.
The weeks prior, I was going back and forth, like, how would the conversation happen with my employer, my boss?
Yeah.
The words that I would say, making sure that I was just confident in this being the best decision for our family, and just kind of going back and forth, but just knowing the why behind why we were doing what we were doing really gave me the confidence to just kind of push through those feelings, and one of the best decisions I ever made.
I love that. I love that. Looking back now, was there a moment when you knew you had made the right choice?
Every day when I get to look my children in their eyes and see what we have and what God has blessed us with, I am so grateful, and I thank God that, in the place that we are right now, and being willing to take that risk and that step and move out in faith. Every day I look back and I thank God that,
That's
I made
good.
that decision.
That's so good. It's like it really is like we really do walk by faith and not by sight.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
For sure.
So what surprised you most about homeschooling?
I would say it can be time consuming with just planning things out, being creative, trying to make things fun for the kids, trying to turn every moment that we have as much as possible into a learning lesson. So just being creative, but kids are so resilient, and sometimes I feel like they're teaching me, I'm teaching them, and so, but yeah, sometimes it can be rather time consuming. So.
Okay. What's one thing homeschooling has taught you about yourself?
I would probably say that I'm able to step out and do things that I thought I couldn't do before. So being creative and incorporating different things, like I said, with the lessons, and really doing things that I thought that I'd never be able to do early on. So.
How do you handle difficult days when things don't go according to plan?
Well, the wonderful thing about homeschooling is that you can be as flexible as you want, and so sometimes you have those days where it's just overwhelming and we just need to take a break, and so we do just that. There are some times where we just take a break and we take a couple days off, and we may do something with the kids, or we may just call it quits for a little bit and completely just take a little break and rest from it. So there is flexibility in that, which I love, and we take as much time as we need. Or sometimes, I see the kids are having a really, really difficult day and they just need a break from it, which is okay. And so, I give them that space and that break, and then we just pick up where we left off.
That is such a blessing that you're able to do that, and you can pause and say, okay, time out for the family. We just need to take some time off, get away from this. We'll get back to it in a couple days. That's good.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that flexibility if the kids are in a public or a private school. Really, not like that.
Exactly.
So that is awesome.
I do love that.
What advice would you give a parent considering homeschooling but feeling intimidated?
Well, fortunately, homeschooling has become more and more popular now than ever before, and so there are a lot of resources out there that wasn't necessarily there 10, 15 years ago. And so you have a lot of co-ops that are starting to pop up in a lot of different places, little communities of homeschool families where you can connect and you can do different things with. And so that makes it a lot more easier. And also on social media and online, there are a lot of communities that you can tap into, and a lot of resources, a lot of different curriculums that you can explore. You can get different homeschool families who have raised their children from K through 12 and even through college, and you can really pick their brains and find out what has worked for them, what hasn't worked. And so I really am fortunate enough to be able to tap into those resources. But I would say for someone starting off, first of all, you can do it. It is a little overwhelming because of you have to, pick the curriculum and find out, okay, how are you going to structure your day according to what your family needs. But that's also the great part about it, because you can structure your day according to what your family needs, what your children needs. And so it's not, a one size fit all for all families. And so you're able to customize things. And if something's not working, immediately you can take it out and pivot. And so I really like that about homeschooling. And I do like, again, that there are so many different communities out there that we can tap into.
That's good. That's so good that you can pivot and be flexible like that. So, how do you balance homeschooling, business, ministry, and family life?
Depending on what day you ask me, I have a different answer. You know what? Just taking a day at a time. I try my best to pre-plan as much as possible, but of course, things don't always go according to plan, right? You have those days where something just comes out of nowhere, and you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But that's also the great thing about it. Like I said before, that you have that flexibility. So if we need to, if we have an appointment or we have something that we need to pay immediate attention to, then we can just pivot from that, and then we can get back to our normal schedule once we're done handling whatever the issue is. So I try my best, in a perfect world, I try my best to mentally time block, okay, so from here to here, we're going to do this, and then from here to here, we're going to do this. And try to plan things out. And then if something happens where it throws us off a little bit, then, you just handle it and keep on going. So
that's good.
But yeah, I try not to overwhelm myself with dedicating so much time to this, and everything's not going to be completely balanced.
Sure.
But I dedicate as much time as I need to, to make sure that we check all the boxes and get everything done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I try to time block as much as possible. I used to use apps to help me do that, but mentally it seems like once I get a schedule going, that mentally it's like, okay, we got to get this done by this time and do this, and so
that's you feel like that's helped you more mentally than
actually.
Yeah, okay.
It definitely has. So once we get the year started and we kind of know ahead of time like what's going to be going on, my husband and I try to communicate with being involved with ministry and different things like the week ahead, and so yeah, we just roll with the punches and try to be consistent. And I'm a huge note taker on my phone, and so if it doesn't get put in my notes, it probably never happens.
Right.
But,
Right.
So just do this, and so I do rely heavily on that too.
That's good. That's good. So you do it. So you basically do your time blocking or your scheduling week by week.
I try to, yes. With schooling, I try to do it by month.
Oh.
And then with everything else, week by week.
Okay. Okay. What's one thing you've had to let go of in order to maintain peace?
Letting go of, I would say being okay with saying no. At first, wanting to be a people pleaser and to be able to serve people in different capacities. It was hard at first, saying no. You want to try to take on everything. Sure, I can do this. Sure, I can do that. Oh, no problem. Yeah. And eventually when, on paper it sounds fine, but then when you're realistically looking at everything and the time that's going to take to do all of those commitments, your plate overflows really quickly. And so just being okay with saying no, because when you're saying no to one thing, you're saying yes to another.
That's good.
And so, yeah, just being okay with that, because only you know what you're capable of being able to do. And you can't please everyone all the time. So just, being a good steward of your time and being okay with saying no to things.
That's a good one. That's actually, I had to write that down. I'm like, that'll be a good podcast in itself about people pleasing and saying no.
Yeah.
But so if you could, what encouragement would you give someone who feels God leading them into a difficult decision?
I would say just, pray and pray some more. You really have to seek the face of God and make sure that this is something that He wants for you to do and to step into. And then also, talking over with your spouse if you're married, and making sure that you have that support system around you too, because it's equally as important when you're making big decisions to have that support system so you guys are on the same page. But just knowing, God is, like I said, He is so faithful, and I think He honors us taking risks sometimes and being able to step out and do things in faith and knowing that He is with us. And so yeah, my husband and I try to prayerfully consider a lot of things and not be so quick to make big decisions quickly. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time, and my husband is better than that than I am. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I just want to know, like, right now, like, so I can plan for it. But sometimes it just, God just wants things to just settle and sit. And but there's so many different things that are possible in today's age with so many resources and what have you. And 10 years ago, some of the things that we do now would have never thought we would have been able to just, but God has opened so many doors and have, just blown our mind with different things that we've been able to do. So
that's beautiful.
So grateful for it.
That's so good. How has entrepreneurship allowed you to support your family's goals and values?
Well, it has opened so many doors, allowed us to see so many things, come across so many different people. I'm one who, it was so hard for me to answer the question, what do you want to do? And when it comes to career-wise for a long period of time, because there was so many different things that I wanted to do and wanted to try out.
Yeah.
And so, so the sky was the limit for me. And then after, trying different things that you may have thought you liked and then you don't like, it's like, okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Trial and error, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it has, allowed us to experience so many different things, come across so many different people and meet them and learn from them. And just been able to test so many different things out and find out what we like and what we don't like.
That's so true. So true. So, okay, final question. So what legacy do you hope to leave for your family?
That's a good one. I want for my kids to know that as long as they keep God in the center of everything, to just step out in faith and to not be afraid to try new things and do different things. But I want for them to just, know that, with the Lord's help, that they can do anything that they put their mind to. So, just really not being afraid to step out.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us, Cami, today. And then our final round, it is called the slingshot round. So, coffee or tea?
Tea, for sure.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl, definitely.
Okay. Favorite homeschool subject?
Math.
Least favorite?
I don't have a least favorite. Maybe history. Sometimes, although it's good to know history so it doesn't repeat itself, but sometimes it can be a little dull.
One word your kids would use to describe you?
Caring.
Book you're currently reading?
That currently am reading Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay, good one. Let's see, biggest productivity tip?
The time blocking. You can nail that, yeah, time blocking.
Okay, favorite way you relax?
By doing absolutely nothing.
I like that. Very good. I like
if
that.
I can mentally, which is impossible for me, but to not think about anything and do anything,
right? Right.
That's the ultimate relaxation.
Your mind rest. Right. If you could instantly master one skill, what would it be?
being able to focus on just one thing. That is so hard for me to do.
Yeah.
To just focus on one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. And then let's see, best piece of advice you've ever received.
It's been so many, but one of the things I share with our families and parenting classes, the years go by, the days are long, but the years are fast. And so enjoy every moment as much as you can.
That's good.
Because the kids, they just grow so quick, and sometimes you have those really hard days, but you look up and they're, asking to borrow the keys to the car, and so just trying to enjoy every moment.
Okay. All right. Well, Cami, thank you again for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your day, your schedule to be with us today. And everybody, thank you for joining us today. And remember, be true to God and be true to yourself.